one. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Find Your Model Health, the official podcast for those looking to optimize their long-term health and weight goals and understand how their body really works. I am your host. I'm Shemaine Looney. I'm a fitness and nutrition expert, certified iridologist, and biohacker. But amongst all that, I think I'm very curious. I'm one of the most curious people I know for sure. And I am very happy to have a very special guest on with us today that really has spiked my curiosity over the last few months. But before I go on, I must remind you that the information in these podcast episodes is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Please consult your health practitioner before making any lifestyle changes. So many of you know that I've been excited to speak to Susan Bratton. And we have her on with us now. And dare I say, I'm even starstruck because Susan, as I mentioned, I have been following you for quite a while. So Susan is a world-renowned and respected sexpert. Susan is an advocate for all of us who desire to have amazing sex. She is a best-selling author of over 30 books and online courses where she teaches her followers about lovemaking and how to have passionate intimacy with their partner, including better communication skills. If you would like to find out more about what Susan does, she has an amazing YouTube channel called Better Lover, and her Instagram channel is full of little tips and tricks that you can use to enhance your bedroom situation. You can also find her on susanbratton.com, and hopefully you'll discuss this with us at some stage, Susan. She is a creator of a line of libido products called the 20, so maybe we can get to that at the end. So welcome, Susan, and thank you for agreeing to be on my podcast again. Third time is a charm. I am somewhat starstruck because your work is amazing and your personality, I can feel it. I'm in Alberta and I believe you're in California, and your personality is just so energetic.
Oh, well, Shemaine, thank you so much. It's really nice to be here. I wanted to ask you to tell me more about what an iridologist is.
Iridology is the study of the iris, so that other part of your eye, and it's been studied for thousands of years. And what we can do is with special cameras, we can take really up close pictures of your iris, and all these different patterns and designs and even coloring can tell us, hey, you might have a problem here, or you might have a problem here, or maybe your liver is toxic because this area of your eye is more yellow, and so on and so on. So it's actually really fascinating. I didn't get into it because it was popular. It's because it's fascinating to be able to hone in on all these different body parts.
That's so interesting. I didn't think it was going to be about the iris. I thought you were going to tell me about irradiation, using things like ozone therapy to clean the blood of parasites and bacteria and pathogens. I thought it was going to be more like that, kind of like a blood cleaning thing. That's so funny. Your iris, fascinating. Well, we'll have to have an offline conversation more about that, because that's an unusual area of study. Even more unusual than orgasm, which is my area of study.
And is an important body part too.
It is. You know what's so interesting? I've been reading a lot. There's been a lot of new research that's finally coming out about the female clitoral structure. And I just got 2 new pieces of data that I've never talked about on any podcast before that I'd love to kind of give your audience an exclusive insight to.
Yes.
Because I know that you really wanted to talk a lot about libido, desire, and arousal. And I really want to make a distinction between those 3. Mm-hmm. Libido is if your body is horny, basically. Do you feel horny? Do you want sex? And desire is how you feel about yourself and your partner. Do I feel desirable? Do I desire my partner? Because there's a lot that goes into that. especially if you're in a long-term relationship like you are, Shemaine, where, you have a husband, and it's the kind of thing where over time you might kind of get used to each other and you feel less of that new relationship energy. So how do you keep your desire for your partner high? And are the other parts of your relationship good? And do they, is there any problem in another area of your relationship that's holding you back from wanting your partner sexually? That's kind of the desire piece. And then there's arousal. And arousal is how women are much slower to become turned on, because men have a lot of what I consider to be, I don't know, like sexual competitive advantages, where number one, they have a higher amount of testosterone in their body than we do, which is the kind of the horny hormone. They are kind of driven to keep their sperm topped up and fresh. So they masturbate and ejaculate frequently, just because they're driven to, much more so than a woman is. We're on more of a 28-day cycle with the moon, even after menopause. And so they're masturbating a lot, they're thinking about sex a lot, and they have an outie instead of an innie. They have a penis and it gets erect really quickly compared to all of the clitoral tissue inside our body. In our genital system, we have 3 different erectile tissue systems, and they fill with blood much more slowly. So it takes us longer to feel aroused than our male-bodied partners. And the studies that just came out, there were 2 that were really interesting. One of them was that they dissected, I think it was something like 40 different, no, maybe it was more like 20 different cadavers of women between the ages of 40 and 80. And they pulled out the clitoral structures. A lot of women, and men especially, think about the clitoris as the little tip, the little, the glands, if you will, the little tip of the clitoris, the button. But it's attached to a shaft. It looks just like a mini penis. And then it has arms and legs, if you will. So they've taken the clitoral, what is called the clitoral body, the entire clitoral structure, out of these cadavers, and they've weighed them and they've measured them and they've located the arms and the legs and the shafts and the glands and, documented everything, because they're actually looking for where the nerves are going into the clitoral structure. And they're doing that for gender reassignment surgery. So our trans folks have actually been what's instigated researchers to learn more about the clitoral structure. And that's just one of our 3 erectile tissue structures. And the clitoris itself, if you took your clitoris out of your body and put it in your hand, it would cover the palm of your hand. And we think about it as that little tiny tip, but it's so much more than that. And a lot of people are like, well, why does the fact that it's erectile tissue really matter? Why do you keep talking about erectile tissue? And that goes to my supplements too. Why did I make the supplements that I made? I made 2 supplements. I made a daily multivitamin, multi-mineral complex with libido botanicals built in. And libido botanicals, ancient botanicals that our forebears, our ancestors have used to feel more turn on and more desire throughout history. They work on basically 2 parts of the body. They work on the hormonal structures of our body, and they work on the erectile structures, the blood flow, the vascular structures. And then so these libido botanicals help you make your hormones and get blood flow to your genitals. And then the other supplement that I make is called Flow, FLOW, and that is a blood flow supplement that helps women and men get blood flow to their pelvic bowl so that they can fill these erectile tissue systems up with blood. Because if you think about it, engorgement, which means filling up with blood, the engorgement of our genitals, men start out with a they start out horny with a fast hard on, they get erect really fast and they're ready to go and they want to penetrate us. We start out with less testosterone. Most women do not masturbate on a daily or even multiple times a week basis. We are much more infrequent masturbators. And our blood flow takes a long time to flow into all of the nooks and crannies of that buried erectile tissue. And what's interesting about it is that when you have basically what happens with us women is that we've been having intercourse with our male-bodied partners way too fast, too soon, because they're ready to go and they're already horny and they've got a hard dick. And we don't, and we have sex with basically a flaccid vulva. And when you're flaccid, it's smaller. And I'm holding up my fist and my fist is closed. I'm holding my hands and I'm holding my fist inside my other hand and it's small. And when it fills with blood, it puffs up. Now I'm opening my hands and making almost like I'm holding a big balloon. Now I've got a lot more surface area. And the surface area, now my clitoral body, the arms, the legs, the shaft, the tip, it's all plumped up. And then when it's stimulated, when it's touched, it sends way more pleasure signals to our brain, which help us feel more pleasure and have more intense and frequent, easily achievable orgasms. So we need blood flow even more than hormones to feel the pleasure of sex. And the second piece of research that I just read, they took, I think it was 10 or 12 women, they put them in a functional MRI and they had a little vibrator and they put the little vibrator on their hand and then they put the little vibrator on their clitoral structure and they looked at where in the brain it lit up and they found the places in the brain that women felt pleasure on their clitoris. And then what was really interesting was they asked women how much sex intercourse, penetration they'd had, both throughout their life and in the recent year. And the women who had the most intercourse, the most frequency of intercourse, had the thickest and largest brain areas that felt pleasure in the clitoris. So it really makes a case for use it or lose it. And it makes a case for the more sex you have, the more pleasure you get. The more pleasure you get, the more you want sex. The more you want sex, the more sex that you have. The more sex that you have, the more pleasure that you get. It's that upward pleasure spiral where practice makes perfect. And this is what most women and their male-bodied partners need to understand. I'm bringing this to a close now. I wanted to lay out kind of the whole thought process because we are very physiologically oriented. We need to understand how our body works, not just our mind. We can't talk ourselves into turn on. We must have the stimulation required to feel the pleasure, because so many women have had sex too soon, not knowing. We didn't know and our partners didn't know either. This is not a blame game. This is just a change the game conversation. Let's change the game. We need a good half hour of manual stimulation, oral stimulation, stimulation from sex toys before we're penetrated, to really get all that blood flow into our genitals so that we can do what I like to call crossing the gasm chasm. Going from somebody who doesn't have orgasms from intercourse to someone who's basically having orgasms the entire time we're being penetrated. That's a learned skill, and you get to it by doing it, by practicing. And so many women think, oh, I'm not the kind of person who can have orgasms from intercourse, because they've been rushed for sex their whole lives. They've never gotten the stimulation. They've never gotten the blood flow. They've never gotten the engorgement. They've never gotten the arousal required for their body, not their partner's body. What's men's problem? They come too fast. What's a woman's problem? She doesn't come from intercourse. So how do you close that gap between us? That's what Dr. Lori Mintz talked about in her TED Talk, the orgasm gap, the difference between how easy it is for our male-bodied partners, how hard it is for our female bodies to have these orgasms. People give up. They think, oh, I just can't do it. No, all to the contrary. Orgasms are learned skills. Every person can have orgasms from intercourse easily just by practicing and continuing to do all of the what is called foreplay, which I think is kind of a bullshit term. What is sex to a woman? Kissing, hugging, full body touch, stroking my hair, making out, French kissing, playing with my boobs, stroking my nipples, grabbing my butt, kissing my thighs, rubbing my yoni. Yoni is the word I use for the female genital system. It's a tantric sex word that I think sounds better than vulva. And I don't use vagina because vagina is just the canal. And what I'm trying to do is get women to really stimulate all of the whole entire genital system, all of our erectile tissue, which is all over. It's literally wrapped around our vaginas like a beautiful bracelet. And so if we can get all that kind of touch and stimulation, which is sex for us, we can come the whole time. We can have orgasms from kissing, from breast play, we can have a coregasm from belly massage. We can have it from yoni massage, genital pleasuring, oral pleasuring. We can have clitoral orgasms, vaginal orgasms, G-spot orgasms, A-spot orgasms, cervical orgasms, anal orgasms, footgasms. We can have so many kinds of orgasms, as can our male-bodied partners. By the way, we have the same parts. And so I want to get rid of this notion of sex being intercourse. I want sex to be all the things. And I want us to orgasm from all the things. And the goal is not intercourse. That's just one of the many fun things we can do during lovemaking. And so I was really glad to see that it's both, it's scientifically proven that women who have more sex can feel more pleasure more easily, and that we have these giant, beautiful erectile tissue structures that are just waiting to be pleasured so we can be massively multi-orgasmic.
So there is a lot to take away there. I
know.
engorged in the information there. So a couple of things that I took away, and hopefully my followers took away, is yes, when we have more sex, we want more sex, but we have to get to the stage of wanting more sex. So we need the sex to be good and to be something we desire. So there's that use it or lose it, want more, get more, have more cycle.
Yeah.
But I would be so bold to say there's not one kink in that cycle. There's a couple of different kinks. Men potentially don't know how to get us there a lot of the time because they're let's go. They're ready, let's go. Whereas we're, apart from the biological aspect and the structural aspect, women in all, we have so much on our mind. Not that men don't, but it's very hard to get turned on when you've been breaking up kids, arguing all day, and dealing with bosses and cleaning the house. And that comes back to when we do sit down, we need help for 30 minutes to get the blood flow going. But that, to me, and I'm sure you've heard this before, is to even ask a man to help you in that aspect, which sounds silly that he needs to help us.
No, it doesn't.
But I don't know if you've heard this before, but do you hear men say, or even tell their women, oh, it's just too much work, which can be very off-putting?
No, women are afraid to ask for what they need. But if men understood that's what we needed to want regular intercourse with you, we need you to stop rushing us and slow down. The number one sex tip that I give men is slow down, and then slow down some more, and then slow down some more after that, and you're still going too fast. They're so far ahead of us, they need to turn around and come back and get us. Their job is to get us out of our heads, into our bodies, slow us down, and turn us on. And if they know the steps to take, they want to do it because they understand that every time they rush us, they're putting another brick in the wall of a future sexless marriage. And they do not want to build that wall between you and them. They want to be able to give you the kind of pleasure and stimulation that makes you beg them to come inside you. Right? That's what they want. They want you to be like really turned on for them. And if you both understand that you might never be as horny on any given day or moment for him as he is to have sex with you, that's just how we are. It's nothing about him. It's nothing about you. And if you allow yourself to take the time you need to get turned on, and that there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Your libido's not low. Your sex drive's not, there's nothing wrong with it. You're totally normal. This is how women are. And that you just need to have a yoni massage, a makeout, play with your boobs. I mean, a lot of times what I like to do, and it's so funny, my husband won't give me a quickie. He's like, if I give you a quickie, you'll just be pissed off. Your yoni will get a chip on her shoulder and she'll be all pissed off. I'm not doing it. Those days are over. So a lot of times we just start our lovemaking with a yoni massage. He puts the meditation pillow against the headboard and he sits up on there, and I butterfly my legs and I lay down between his legs, and he gets the warm oil and he just gives me a belly massage, a boob massage, and then he works on the mons and then the outer labia. And then he goes to the inner labia, and then he does more strokes of the vestibule, and then he does the clitoral hood, and then he starts playing with the clit a little bit and resting a thumb in the entrance to my vagina. And then he just starts giving me good strokes that give me orgasms. But what he's doing the whole time is he's really working to bring blood into my yoni, into my vulva. And that's what makes me suddenly, what happens is I'm lying there and I'm just relaxing. I'm connecting with him. Sometimes I'm talking a little bit to him. Sometimes I'm just completely lying there, almost like I'm dead. I'm just feeling the pleasure. And I never force my moans or my orgasms. He knows right where I am at all times because he can hear my biofeedback. And sometimes I'm slow to turn on, and other times I start coming almost right away because we've had a 20-year practice. Because the first 10 years of our marriage, I stopped wanting him for sex because we used to do it the old way. Now we do it the new way, which is I get a yoni massage before we have sex and have intercourse. And that allows us to relax and connect. And we have the music on and we've got our fireplace on. And it's just real nice and mellow and loving. And then as I'm laying there and he's starting to give me orgasms, all of a sudden, what enters my mind? Oh, I'd like to go down on him a little bit. That sounds good. Ooh, I know what I want. I want to have sex, intercourse on the edge of the bed. Ooh, I want it doggy style. Oh, you know what I really want to do? I just want to lie you down and I want to climb on top of you and I just want to get off on you. Like it starts to get me going. So if we stopped putting pressure on ourselves, if we taught our men what feels good, and here's a tip I want to give to your listeners too. For a lot of women, they say, I don't know what, my husband doesn't know what to do. He's not going to know what to do. He's not going to, it's not going to happen. And it's like, well, you have to tell him what to do. Oh no, he doesn't like it when I tell him what to do. He thinks he knows what to do. And then he gets all pissed off and then it ruins the sex. And I don't really know what to tell him. I'm not sure what I even want. And here's why, because we run on that 28-day cycle and we're always changing. Every day we're different. Every time we have a lovemaking date, we're in a different mood. Something needs rubbed that didn't need rubbed last time. Sometimes we're more turned on or less turned on, whatever it is. And so what my husband and I think about ourselves is we call ourselves Team Sweetie. That's our little hashtag for each other. And it's the two of us basically ganging up on my yoni, not ganging up on her, but in service to her. because she's in charge of everything. My yoni is in charge of everything. And I don't get to control her. She controls me. Same with yours. Same with all women. When we allow and tune into what's happening with our own genital system, when we're like, here's how turned on I am. I'm not turned on at all. I'm actually super turned on, whatever it might be. I want really soft touch, go even lighter, or no, I really like it. Get in there, go for it. It feels good. I want press harder. Oh, that feels good. I want a lot of G-spot today, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
When you can do that and you can tell your partner what your yoni is wanting that day, then he can give it to you. And then you're on the same team and you're just reporting in. I call it reporting in from your animal. I'm telling you what she's telling me. Here's what's going on. This is what she wants. And that way you get really good together at getting her turned on and wanting to be penetrated. And that's how you begin to start having orgasms from intercourse, is because she's gotten what she needed. So when he finally comes inside you, when he's entering you, you're just like, yeah, yeah, that's so good. Where before you've just been like, oh, all right, oh, like he just went right inside you and you were just like not ready. So I think I have a technique that I give away for free. It's called the Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT. I wrote a really popular book. One of my most popular books is a little book called Sexual Soulmates, the 6 Essentials for Connected Sex. And I feel like the number one essential to have to get really good in bed together is communication. But women are worried. I don't know what I want. I just know what I'm getting isn't it. He gets all grumpy when I give him any feedback. He just gets also like pissy. So I just keep my mouth shut, and you can't. You have
Do
to get
you
on teams.
feel, not to cut you off, but do you feel, just following on to what you literally said there, that embarrassment is a part of it as well? Women feel embarrassed. It's like it makes us coy and flushed, and I'm embarrassed to talk about, as I refer to it with my clients, the genitalia. Like there's a lot of embarrassment around sex and intercourse and talking about what you want and how you feel.
Yeah, for sure. And it's religious repression and societal shame. And it's patriarchal. So if we don't break free of it, we're doing our children, our daughters, a disservice, and our sons, who deserve to have great sex lives too. And so the Sexual Soulmate Pact, like an agreement, PACT, pact, it's at sexualsoulmatepact.com. It's a downloadable, very short little ebook that has just that one communication technique that it teaches you how to teach your partner in super stealth ways how to love your feedback and crave it. And once he starts craving your feedback and he's like, yeah, tell me more, then he gets really good at getting you really turned on. And you get really good at helping him get you really turned on. So you're now working together. You're now on your team sweetie situation. And that's when your sex life gets on that upward pleasure spiral where you want more sex. Because honestly, I am 31 years with my man now. 31 years. It might even be 32 because it's November as we're recording this. I'm going to have to ask him. He's better at dates than I am. First 10 years of my marriage, almost got divorced because I wasn't having orgasms from intercourse. And I was like, this is bullshit. This is going to ruin my marriage. Second 20 something years, I've been having the most incredible sex with my husband. And it's because we learned these simple things that I am literally telling you on this podcast, which is to forgive yourself for the body you were born into. And you're just like all the rest of us. And there's nothing wrong with you at all. And this is why I'm so appreciative of the opportunity to be here on your show, helping the women who are your fans and the men who listen to your show learn what the right way to do is, so you can have ageless, pleasurable sex that keeps getting better and more orgasmic your whole life long. It literally comes down to the difference between men and women. And there's not a damn thing wrong with us at all. We just need to know these simple things.
this is going to be so helpful because I have a nice following and they range from
Yes.
early 20s to mid 70s. And
Yeah.
I still intend to have sex when I'm in my 70s. But
80s. Oh, I just got an email from one of my fans, and he is 83 and he's doing some penis pumping. I am a big proponent of vulva and penis pumping, using a vacuum erection device to draw more blood into the genitals to reverse atrophy from aging. I'm really big on ageless sexuality. At 61, having the best sex of my life. I don't plan for it to get worse anytime soon. I want to be well into my 80s. He's 83. His wife is 79. He's been pumping and he's like, it's amazing. My wife is super happy. I'm firm and hard again, and she's loving it. And tell me how I buy the vulva and clit pump for her, because if it did this well for me and we have the same amount of erectile tissue inside that men have outside, I want to pump her genitals for her before our lovemaking and before I'm giving her these yoni massages that you've taught us how to do. And so he was just telling me that, and he, he's 83 years old. So there is no reason why we can't have great sex throughout our entire life till the day we die, as long as we keep our genitals in good working order. And
even though so many people in every area of health and life say, oh, I'm just getting older. It's just because I'm getting older or because I'm aging. I mean, no matter what you look at it, it really is how you take care of yourself as well.
That's all it is. I mean, it's the same as I work out every day. I have a trainer and I work out every day because I'm spry and I can get up and down off the floor with no problem. And I can lift a lot of heavy weight and carry all my groceries. And I'm just solid. I'm strong.
And I never would have guessed you were 61. Like I thought, I was like, oh, I wonder what age she is. I never would have guessed 61 at all.
And what's great is that you can take care of your genitals just like you take care of your body. FemiWave and Gainswave are these acoustic wave treatments that work fantastic for regenerating tissue if you've atrophied. The pumps are really good. There's PRP. There's the VFit Gold for women, which is an intravaginal at-home vaginal rejuvenation device that really helps when the tissue's thinning, you're getting incontinence. There's that, which I really love. So I want to give you some links for your listeners, because do you publish links with show notes?
Yeah.
Okay, let me give you a couple of links right now. So the very first one, do you have a pen and paper?
I will put it in our link here in our chat, and then I can copy
in the chat. Perfect. Okay, so the very first one I want your listeners to get is the Sexual Soulmate Pact. It's at Sexual Soulmate Pact, PACT.com. And Gainswave, GAINSWAV, and FemiWave, FEMIWAVE.com. The pumps for vulvas and penises and all of that kind of stuff, those, I have a little guide that's all about it at pumpingguide.com. So if you have a partner whose penis isn't as firm as it used to be, or you're feeling that there's vulval atrophy or clitoral atrophy, your orgasms are harder to achieve, etc., that's a good little download, Pumping Guide. And then the intravaginal device, the at-home vaginal rejuvenation. In the US, it's at Joylux, JOYLUX.com/Susan, SUSAN. They do a special thing for me where anybody that goes there gets a really nice little kit with a carrying case and some extra goodies at joylux.com/Susan. And in Europe and Canada, it's VSculpt, SCULPT.com/Susan. Those are some of the best rejuvenation treatments that you can do, both go FemiWave and GainsWave, you go to practitioners. They're very powerful. They work really great. If that's not available in your area, you can get these home devices. They take longer. You've got to put in more time, et cetera, but they work well. And then for the blood flow supplements, and the botanicals, the libido botanicals with the daily vitamin mineral, that's at the20store.com, THE20 store.com. When people realize that there's so much you can do for genital rejuvenation, they just didn't know it was available. That's what I think really gives people hope that, okay, I want to try yoni massage. I'm going to get a V-Fit. I'm going to try some FemiWave. I'm going to buy my husband a pump. I'm going to take some blood flow supplements. I'm going to take some botanicals, libido botanicals. I'm going to do these things. And then you start communicating with each other. We're going to do the sexual soulmate pact, sexual soulmate pact. We're going to do that. We're really going to get honest with each other. I'm going to really tell him how I feel every day. I'm going to tell him what I need. I know he wants to give it to me. He loves me. He wants sex with me. We're really just going to work on all this together. It's so nice when you get to that point where you're like doing something about it instead of avoiding sex or feeling guilty or feeling like you're broken or it's hurting or your husband's penis isn't that hard anymore or whatever it is. I mean, it's just so nice when you make a commitment to your sexuality and you say, yes, I want good sex. I'll have what she's having. I like that Susan Bratton. I want to be 61 and having the best orgasms of my life. So
I want to have an orgasm through whole sex, even though that sounds like I may be a high achiever.
No,
but when you said
easy.
that, I know, well, when you said it, I know many of my women who are listening are like, holy, I didn't know that's possible. Like, that just seems like out of this realm to even consider something like that. And that is how most women think, though. I want to cut you off, just to go back to two things. Your old way of sex that you were having in the first 10 years of your marriage. And I have this conversation with my friends and my clients and my sister, and most women that, as we say in Ireland, the term is wham bam, thank you, ma'am. I don't know if it's a worldwide thing, but that is how a lot of us are having sex. And at that stage, or intercourse, at that stage, it's like, really, it's like, oh, whatever, just do it. Like, let's get it over with. I'm not enjoying it, but you need it. And it becomes just a job or a task for women. We don't know how to enjoy it anymore. And I don't think there is an age exemption there, because I told you my age, and like it becomes just like, oh, it's another chore off the list each day. Oh, he needs it. I know I'm not going to enjoy it, but I'm just going to do it because he needs it. And that's sad now upon reflection, considering I have now become jealous of your sex life.
Good. Hey, I'll use any tool in my toolkit to get you some good orgasms, including making you jealous about how hot and sexy my sex life is.
But this is it. I know I'm not alone, because I have these conversations with women like this. This is their sex life. They don't know it can be better. And that's why I was like so starstruck. I was like, yes, she's coming on the show, because if anyone can drive home this message, you can drive home this message. You're very good at it. This is why you're the expert. But there's another thing, and you've really just, this is the core of your message, is you started off teaching us about our body. You're a teacher. You've mentioned it's so important that we learn. In my introduction of all my episodes, I always say helping people learn about their body, because if you don't learn about your body, how the hell are you going to know what to do?
Exactly.
But one important thing that I don't know if you connected, but I connected when you said there's nothing wrong with you. Like, there's nothing wrong with your libido. This is women. This is all of us. Yet so often women become almost obsessed with the hormonal aspect. And they're like, my hormones are out of balance. I need to see a naturopath. I need to test. But you went straight into the structural aspect. Do you even know what your body looks like, kind of thing? And I think that's going to be a huge aha moment, because sometimes I get fed up with people always, my hormones, this, that, and yeah, we know hormones play a part, but that's not everything.
Right. It's actually a very, very small part. Where hormones come into play is in menopause. When your estrogen drops, your vaginal canal the tissue can get a little thin and create painful intercourse. And you can either get an estrogen cream to use intravaginally or a DHEA cream to use intravaginally. That really helps. And you can also use FemiWave. You can also use the VFit Gold. These are all, and you can have a lot of yoni massage. You can get your partner to spend a lot of time rubbing oil into your entire vulva. That moisturizes it. You can also increase your omega-3 fatty acids. You can also take hyaluronic acid. Anything, you can keep yourself hydrated. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to reverse the thinning of aging tissue. Just as we moisturize our face, we can moisturize our vulva. We need extra omegas and extra fats, and we should be eating avocados and having ghee and having olive oil and avocado oil and eating fatty fishes and all of that stuff. I mean, we need the oils as we age and we lose that estrogen and our skin thins.
Yeah. And I think a big takeaway there is this is normal. All women feel like this. If you don't have libido or arousal, it doesn't mean you're broken or it is your hormones. It just means we go through cycles. I think you mentioned in a previous episode that women are generally more horny around ovulation. I think most of us know that whole, and through our period. And sometimes it is, I've said to my clients, how can you expect to get turned on if you're stressed up to your eyeballs as well? And that comes back to, just give me a massage, pour me a glass of wine, let's just talk
smoke some
about
pot.
the day.
Cannabis is very, very good for a lot. Many women have much more pleasure with a little cannabis. I honestly think cannabis is better than alcohol because it's not a depressant. Alcohol is a depressant. And so although it removes inhibitions, it depresses your responses. So you're better off vaping a little bit of flower, cannabis flower. And vaping is better than smoking, because smoking, of course, is bad for your lungs. But vaping is, and I don't mean the resins and the pre-made vaping. I'm talking about a vaporizer that vaporizes the real leaves of the real plant. And I also think putting a little Damiana in it. Damiana is another green plant that has a lot of aphrodisiacal benefits to the female and the male body. So you can kind of mix a little THC, a little marijuana and a little Damiana, and put that in a little vape and have a couple of puffs of that, and it'll relax you and it will get you into your body, and it will help your heart connection, and it will help you allow the space to become aroused. So for those of your listeners who are open to considering ancient plants, in addition to just the libido botanicals, that's also very nice.
And the key word there being relaxing, helping us relax. Women need to relax, and we're wound up. I am wound up. We're all wound up.
Well, and that's the thing too, Shemaine, you nailed it when you said that, because one thing I didn't say, which is kind of like a foundation thing, just like the sexual soulmate pact, learning how to communicate with ease with your partner without any shame and just stating what is actually going on for you is a foundation. So is relaxation. When you cannot climb the arousal ladder if you do not begin with relaxation. This is also why I recommend yoni massage, vulva genital massage, because when you're getting the massage, you're getting relaxed and the blood begins to flow. It really helps a lot. So you nailed it when you talked about relaxation.
I think this yoni massage sounds heavenly. I can
Yeah.
just guess everyone's going to be trying that this weekend. So before I let you go, I was just
Yeah.
hoping we could touch a bit more on the painful sex that women can experience. That's
Sure.
obviously a big turn off when it
Yeah.
comes to having, if anything hurts, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think you mentioned before in another, maybe with Wendy Myers on her episode
Oh,
about,
Wendy.
and I had her on a few weeks ago, so she's lovely. But
Yeah.
I think you mentioned using the likes of extra virgin olive oil and avocado oil and
Yeah.
stuff like that directly on the
Right.
tissues, just as much as you would use it on your face.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. One of the things that I wanted to let your listeners know as well, one more link for you is at betterlover.com. I have a lot of videos, about free videos that teach you how to give and receive a yoni massage. And yoni is spelled Y-O-N-I, yoni massage. So if you go to betterlover.com and you just type in Y-O-N-I, you'll get my yoni massage videos and you can watch them with your partner and then you can practice. And as
Are
far
these
as
are these cartoon videos or you in the massage?
me speaking to the camera,
Okay.
yeah, me
But
walking you through what to do. Yeah.
you're not demonstrating though.
Not in those particular ones, but I do have on my OnlyFans, I have an OnlyFans website, which is where I can post pictures of vulvas and show the parts. And that's onlyfans.com. Well, you can just go to Extra Susan, EXTRASUSAN, Extra Susan. It's a free membership, and there are posts there, many different posts. The one I just did is really good. It's called the Mind Body Connection. It's an erotic play date. It's a play date that you have with your partner. You might want to try this one, Shemaine. You and I will get to the oils. You lie down with your partner, and let's just say it's your husband. What he will do is he will, and I on the extrasusan.com, there's a picture so he can look at that and know what the parts are. And then
Okay.
he says, okay, I'm now massaging your mons. Okay, these are your outer labia. Okay, these are your inner labia. This is the clitoral hood. Okay, now I'm in the vestibule. Okay, now I'm between. Oh, this is your external G spot. Okay, this is the entrance to your vagina. This is your fourchette. This is your perineum. Okay, I'm going inside with your permission once he's warmed you up. Okay, this is where your G spot is. This is your anterior fornix. He can learn all the parts and how to touch them.
Mm.
And then he can lay you down and walk you through where he's touching. Once he touches it and tells you what he's touching, it makes that mind-body connection. It lays down the neural pathway so that you can feel more pleasure. It's the same as when they did the MRIs and they mapped where in the brain you feel the pleasure. If you know what part it is he's touching, as he's touching it, it helps you access the pleasure. And that's at extrasusan.com. It's really helpful if you look at the pictures of the vulva with all the parts marked together. Then you understand your anatomy. Then you won't know where he's touching, and it helps deepen and intensify the pleasure. And it shows him the different ways that different parts like to be touched, because how you touch the mons versus the hood versus the outer labia versus the inner labia versus the vestibule versus the fourchette, they're all very different. They want some things like kneading, some things like more of a sliding, some things like more of a pressure touch. And so he gets better and better over time at giving you these. And the kind of oil I recommend is either refined organic avocado oil. Organic avocado oil, or avocado oil in general, is green because avocados are green. You want refined avocado oil. I get mine by the liter at oilcenter.com. That's in the US. Oil Center, OILSCENTER.
Okay.
Or Oil Center. It might be OILCENTER. I don't remember.
Okay.
You can also get it on Amazon. Or sweet almond oil, organic sweet almond oil. I don't think you should use lubes because they're full of chemicals and
Mhm.
preservatives. I think it's better to use nut oils, especially if you can get an organic one, an organic refined nut oil that won't stain your sheets or your lingerie. That is literally, I always say, if you wouldn't drink it, you shouldn't put it on your vulva,
Mhm.
because they're just, I mean, why would you put something on your vulva that you wouldn't put in your mouth? You know,
Mhm.
and if you looked at the ingredients in most of the lubricants that you can get at drugstores and stuff, they're just full of crap.
Yeah.
So I think anytime you can go with a really good oil, and then when your partner is giving you the yoni massage, have them pour oil into their palm of their hand, a lot of it, and then rub like soap. Get the oil all over the backs, the fingers, everywhere in the hands, because he's going to be using, or they're going to be using their hands in many ways on the yoni to massage and to knead it. So it's not like a little bit on the finger is going to be enough. We're not talking about stroking the tip of the clit here. We're talking about bringing blood into all of that genital system so that your vulva basically puffs up with blood, so you get that erection you need to feel the orgasm intensity that you deserve, equal to how great it feels for him.
Amazing. There's so many great tips here. Your work really is incredible. There's
Thank
one
you.
more thing I want to ask you
Okay.
that just stood out. This was not on my list of questions, but you just said it with regards to the yoni massage, and then him asking permission
Right.
before he
Entering.
enters you. That's
Yeah.
interesting. Do you
Mhm.
feel it's important to ask permission,
Yeah.
or does that also enhance the mind-body connection? Like, why did you say that?
I said it because we women have been penetrated too fast and too hard for our entire lives, and we have like psychic damage from it. You know,
Yeah.
we are psychically damaged from being penetrated by penises and fingers. I mean, you know, I just posted something that Nancy, a fan told me. Nancy wrote in and she said, my whole life, I feel like guys have just basically stuck their penises and fingers right inside me without knowing any of these other parts, or ever lovingly touching my vulva. All it's ever been is a means to an end for them to get off.
Mm.
And it's like, yeah, exactly. And so that's another thing that I literally have had to break my husband of the habit of, when he is ready to enter me, he just goes right in, and it pisses me off every time. Every time he does it, I'm like, dude, no. And he forgets because he gets so turned on, and like he just wants to get in there, and like he'll only do it once or twice a year now. He'll forget because he gets so excited, and I'm immediately pissed off about it, you know?
Mm.
And but if I get pissed off in the middle of sex,
That turns
it's
everything
okay.
off.
No, it's not. It doesn't turn anything off. If I'm like, dude, what the, you know, he's
Mm.
like, oh, babe, I'm so sorry. Apologies. And I'm like, it's okay. Just remember, I don't like that. I like, so the opening to the vagina is a sphincter muscle, a round muscle like our iris or our ass.
Mhm.
And it needs to be teased and relaxed before penetrating with a finger or a toy or a penis. And when it's constantly just like invaded and pushed and hammered at and not respected, it gets angry and it holds a grudge.
Mhm.
And so for many women who are teaching their partners how to enter them lovingly and slowly with respect, you have to be patient with your partner.
Mhm.
They're going to make mistakes. You're allowed to be pissed off. You're allowed to say, I didn't like that. Don't do it that way again. Remember, we talked about this. I need you to slow down. And they should be able to be like, oh, right. I am sorry. Thank you, babe. I apologize. Let me do it more slowly.
Mm.
And that's all it needs to be. You're in this together. It's the two of you, and our bodies are different than their bodies. They don't live in our bodies. They don't know. We love them. We want great sex with them. And we have some psychic damage from us both not knowing the right things to do, I mean, literally, they just took clitorises out so we could learn that we could hold them in our hand and they would be amazing. These little bodies, what we could hold in our hand, they're that big. If you take all of the erectile tissue out of a penis, it would cover your hand. If you take all the erectile tissue out of a vulva, it will cover your hand. We have the same amount. We literally are just learning these things. So we got to go easy on ourselves, but we have to also honor when our, like our walls are breached,
Yeah. Like when we're ready, I've never considered, well, I suppose I have respect before, but that was exactly asking for permission is very respectful. And women, we haven't received a lot of that in regards to sex over the centuries, let alone the last couple of years. So that's very insightful. There's loads of great tips here. I will be taking tips. I know my clients will. I love your approach to teaching. I am in awe of you and your work. It's so incredible because it's so helpful. That's why. If something's not helpful, what's the point? We need to be making a difference in people's lives. And from a young lady to my older lady followers, like, so much respect to you. I am going to use this information. You've approached it from a way I did not expect. I had a series of questions and then I was like, I'm just going to let her go with this. I snuck in a few, but you had covered it already. The key takeaways before we wrap up, I think really is it's not only hormones. I can't drive that home enough because it creates obsessive tendencies. Slow down, relax, respect, and learn about your body is big. And let's shake off the embarrassment as well. Like, it's okay to talk about this. Well, thank you, Susan. This was really amazing. I think you saw me swoon a few times. I was like, this is amazing. So
I'm so glad. Thank you.
Thank you for spending some of your time with us. I know you're super busy, so you have a great day, and I'll be in touch soon. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.